how you guys doing? Been off the grid for a little while, training, staying quiet, keeping busy, just haven't been posting. And a couple of questions have come up over the last few months, some regarding training in relationship to things that are happening around the world. And I'm not a guy who's going to push fear as an issue to try to motivate people, but there are some realities, especially with these low-tech attacks. People are really concerned with getting hit with weapons out in the street and how they can react to that. Now, being martial artists, we basically train for self-perfection and survival, or as Paul Vunak likes to say, self-preservation. And it's very important that you know the fine line between the two. Things got to be functional, and some things are just to grow throughout your life. But you have to keep your functional bread and butter training always constant, always fresh, and always honest. Now, for me, the most functional thing in this day and age, besides being able to throw punches, slip, or whatever art you want to do, head movement, all these wonderful things, your ground game, all this great self-perfection, things that interest you as a martial artist, you got to be able to deal with things that are happening now in the streets that might take you outside of your comfort zone. Now, for me, it's a lot about time invested. Where do I invest my time? Meaning, if I have a few hours a week to train, do I invest in self-perfection all the time? Mastery of my specific sport style, be it my ground game, my wrestling game, my whatever game that might come out? Or do I train in something that has a little bit of a cross-pollination, where, let's say, if I'm dealing with a random attack out in the street, the things that can cross over to keep me moving, keep me alive, and keep me safe are my footwork, my distance relationship, my ability to slip, roll, attack, counterattack, get out, pick something up, and use it as an equalizer. And that's the big thing. I train more towards making sure I survive a situation and not win an event. And that's cool if you're into winning events, because you should enjoy that process for your entire life. And I think it's great. But for me personally and the people in our crew, I'm thinking about trying to survive violent encounters, not necessarily trophies and accolades and all those things that come from them. There's plenty of great people out there doing that, and that's awesome, right? So while these questions were coming up, I had to deal with a couple of issues. Guys I train are from all around the world. There's different rules. Even here in the United States, I have different rules per state on what kind of weapons we can carry, what's legal, what's not legal. When things can jump off, they could jump off in the street, in a club, at work, out of your car. They could jump off in a plane. So now you got to look at TSA approved things. Now I'm going to do a quick overview of some of the things that we've been messing with in our research and how to transfer what we do empty-handed, becoming a weapon yourself, and then any weapon you touch becomes an extension of yourself, versus carrying a weapon and not being trained in that weapon. A lot of guys got guns and knives and whatever with them, but they can't use them. You pull them out against somebody who knows how to move, they might take that thing away from you and shank you with it. You got to think about that. So let's take a look at some of the research we've done as far as the style of weapons that I find most useful for me. I'm not a crazy zombie apocalypse dude. I ain't trying to kill nobody. My concept of a weapon is get up off me, you take me to the ground, I'm going to get a shoe job, maybe you're better on the floor than me. I need something to discourage that. B, stay away from me. I'm going to get up on my toes and keep you at distance. I ain't trying to kill you. I'm just trying to get you to leave me alone. So let's take a look at some of these weapons we have in front of us. So I started playing with small, legal-sized weapons that I can carry on my person. And I was kind of drawn to the black things because I don't like weapons that shine and can stand out in the light. I want you to not see it when it comes out. So a very small, I think it's called the Warncliffe blade. This is by Cold Steel. Reverse grip. I'm a big reverse grip guy. Let me explain why. I'm not coming out and trying to cut you and shank you. You're coming to me. You've caused my problem. So for me in the reverse grip, my ability to slip, cut, come back around and catch you, get my head off the line, that's more my style. Hurt you, poke you, get you back. I ain't trying to finish you off. That's not my job. I just want you not to mess with me. So this grip works really well for me. And I can also punch you. I don't got to kill you. Because a lot of guys get a knife in their hands and they forget they have another hand that can do work, or the same hand that can do work. So you got to have a tool that can fly between both things. So this little Cold Steel blade tend to be okay. But the problem that I didn't like with it is it doesn't have a fast release. I mean, as far as deployment. And I'm not a big fan of frame locks. We'll get into that later, but this is how long it takes me to get it open. That's a lot of time. But anyway, as I was researching this, I started looking at different options. So you have this little guy. Then we have this other. So I ordered a couple of different styles. This is a Boker. Same principle. I got a good purchase on it. Blade's a little stronger. It's a nice slasher. It's got a good curve to it. It cups around with the movements of my hand. I can move around with it. I can slip. I can parry and cut if I have to. That's a great, this one was pretty good. And this is a good city knife. Doesn't tag into your pocket. Very slim. It's got a high carry on it. Well, what they mean by that, people who aren't into knives, they call them deep carries. The clip's in a high place, so it basically hides this far inside your pants so no one sees you when you have it. So this was a cool little blade. But I'm still dealing with deployment issues. How fast can I get it out? How difficult is it for lumber? Let's say I'm on the ground, a guy's wrestling me, and I gotta try to get my hand, one hand keep him off, the other hand get in my pocket before he puts hold or a break on me or some kind of submission. Well, then we started looking at flippers. Now this is a great little blade. This is a Spyderco. It's a domino. And what I like about this one, again, I got good purchase on the back. I can upswing very easily. I can cut with this. It has safety for my fingers. It keeps my fingers away from the cutting edge. It actually has a choil, that's what they call this thing right here, and keeps me away from getting my fingers cut. Also, what I liked about it is it's got a non-lethal side. So I can hit on one side and hit on the other. I can cause pain and cut. I can hurt it or kill it in those kind of mentalities. So for me, I really like this one. And I like that when you grab onto this, it actually squeezes a lot tighter so there's no fold back upon your fingers. It gets rid of that whole thing. But most importantly, it has fast deployment. Now, the thing about this is a big heavy blade, at least for me. Steel, it's chrome, it's very visual. But as I started looking deeper into the Spyderco line, the way things felt in my hand, this is kind of skinny. I got big hands. I got into the paramilitary 2. And this knife for me does it all. It is fast, light. The grip is amazing. I got a pommel to work off, puño as the Filipinos say. I got a good sharp blade, but I also have a good poker. So I can work all the different angles that I need to with the knife, with this sucker right here. I really enjoy this one. The way it goes in and out, very quick, one-handed operation. And you can flick it with your thumb or with your finger. They call that a Spidey flick, like that. So you can actually get this in and out pretty fast. And if you're really in a hurry, you can just flick it straight open with the twist of your wrist. I like this blade quite a bit. It comes in variations if you are into the zombie apocalypse trading. Now that's cool. And that has, as far as folders, this tends to be the one that suits me the most, the paramilitary 2. People like to look into fixed blades. Now this is a baby, it's called a minimalist open carry blade. Now what I enjoy about this one, this little tiny ridiculous 1-inch blade is, I think Alan Folks is the guy who created it. The way he designed this, it fits right into the grooves of my finger and gives me a little purchase on the back. So again, hyper light, super small. This one actually works pretty well in both directions if you were a poker. It is designed that way. You'd have to actually put this in your hand to understand how good it feels. Now, so this is a really easy stuff. This can be on your belt. So if I'm on the ground, I don't have time to deploy a flipper. I just got to pull it, boom, and I'm good to go. Get poked in the neck a few times, get off me. Simple stuff. Simple stuff. And you have to practice. Don't forget that. Now, before I get into the practice section, let's talk about things that, well, maybe you're on a plane now and you got to be careful. You can't take these things on a plane. And I know that we don't think about that, but people are crazy these days. So what they came out with, which was kind of cool, is these tactical pens. And the way these pens work, I think they're aircraft grade aluminum. They got a glass breaker on this side, but even more so, it's an amazing pain tool. You can pop someone in the eye, you can move around, you can hit their punches, you can cross the next pattern, any punches coming in. You get on the ground, you can pop this in the neck and the throat, come on up. They'll let you go. You put this in somebody's ass, they're gonna let you go. And the other thing I liked about it too, is they come with lights. Some are really bright, so you can get that little quick blindness as you're moving around somebody, or just looking where you're going some days. So these you can actually get on the plane. Now this one's a little bit too kind of, yeah, I'm going to hurt somebody with you looking, but I kind of enjoy the way this one feels in my hand. Well, they go a little bit more stealth, like this one. This looks like a normal everyday pen. Works like a normal everyday pen. But on the back side, again, you got that hardened steel glass breaker. And it works. Once you get it in here, you tuck your fingers in the right spot, you now have what I'm sure there's a weapon called Kabat, I don't know what it's called, but it has sharp sides on both ends. So now you can Jason Bourne some shit. Now this is a little more hard to use. It's easier to slip off your hand, but it's a pen that does more than just a pen, and I enjoy that. Now let's take it into a step further. So now you're really worried about getting on a plane. You don't want to lose your pen. You put some money on that. But you still want something that if it goes down. Now, they have these tactical flashlights. Again, made from hard aluminum. They got cutting edges right across here. I know you guys can't see it because I don't have the camera zoomed in. But more importantly, they got ridiculously bright lights. These lights are designed to blind you. All right? So you pop this in someone's eye. Now you got something you can follow up with and give them a couple smacks. More importantly, they're toast if you hit them with that. I've been hit by it. It's not a good feeling. So this is another great idea for my guys in the crew. So that takes care of my blade concepts, the things that I play with. And the other thing I had to look at, I was talking to some of my friends in the UK, was they can't even touch a blade on a lot of stuff. So they have to use sticks or batons. So here we have an illegal but full-size baton. This thing is pretty friggin' wicked. This can actually, you can move around with this and smack somebody. It's really nice. To me, it's a little heavy in my hand. But this is the legal size. And that's cool. But for us, you want to have a pen-sized baton. Take a look at this so you get a comparison. A pen-sized baton. And the deployment on this is even as quick, and I can move even quicker with this motherfucker all day long. So you can see where this works in a better situation, easier to hide, size of a pen. So that's another one I'm looking into. So these things are all fantastic. It's fun that we have them. But we have to look at ways of deployment. One of the deployment ways is what I like here. It's a folder safety knife. This is a little cheapie that I got, a little lockback. But let's say I'm working with some ground guys. I'm getting taken to the ground. I have to practice my deployment. I have to get knocked to the floor, be able to hit the floor, and be able to get it out and open in my pocket. I have to practice that under stress. That's the only way this stuff's going to work. I have to be able to pull it out of my pocket while I'm moving around and flip it out. This is if you're into the folding aspects. And the last thing I'll have you do is, which I say you should do, like any good class, a couple of plastic training knives. Get used to it. Get used to working long range, cutting, keeping somebody away from you. Don't try to go in and shank somebody. You're not going in there for the friggin' the Walking Dead head friggin' kill. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to cut whatever comes at you and let that dude bleed out. Let him get worried about himself, not about you. If he tries to get in close, make him pay for it. Don't step in the rage of the weapon. So I'm going to go over some of the training methodologies as the months come by of things that we do. And one of them is going to be our knife sparring. One of them is going to be how you take all those cool trapping hands you learn, all that friggin' push and pull, how you can apply that while you're protecting yourself and cutting and moving. Those are the kind of things you want to be able to transfer your time invested into your martial art, into your self-preservation. That's the most important thing. A lot of guys in my crew are good with their hands, good with their feet. Put a knife in their hand, they get uncomfortable because it's a sharp, odd thing. Though they can fight and spar, it's an uncomfortable sensation. Well, that's going to cause you to freeze up when somebody attacks you with one. And I'm not saying they're going to show it to you and go, look, I got a knife and kill. I'm saying if you get lucky enough to see it coming, you now have to control distance and make choices. And the other important thing I want to cover about this is EDC, something called everyday carry. You should, whatever methodology that you can carry or walk with, assess your everyday. What is on your person that you can protect yourself with? That's the one thing you got to think about. What in my day-to-day comfortable life, business, job, whatever it is that I go, offices I'm going into, can I have on my person that if shit goes down, I can react, and I'm training to react. For me personally, I always have the tack light, tack pen, and always one of these. Always. So when you see me on the street, you probably got one of these. If I'm in the city, in Los Angeles, where the blades are small, it's going to be something like this or something like this. No question, no doubt. The very worst case scenario is just going to be a pen with a light on it. But there's going to be something in my hand to equalize a bad situation. Anyway, long rant. Going to be covering this stuff in a couple of videos. Nothing that's going to be like an offered course or anything. More so just to help the crew and kind of make you think a little bit about your protection out there. All right? Much love. Take it easy. Stay safe. Stay armed. Stay active. Stay awake. Stay aware.